decided to learn Chinese. Congratulations and welcome aboard. You might want to do this because of your love and interest for Chinese culture, or perhaps you want to make friends from another country, or perhaps you want to do business in China, or maybe it's because you have this crippling fear of World War III and how the world will need translators. Oh man, I should really get more canned food and fill up the bathtub and... Well, that went dark pretty quickly. Welcome to Simple Chinese, where the special effects are even more simple than what you'll learn. Learning Chinese is no easy feat. After all, in many languages, people will refer to something being hard or confusing as,
"It's all Chinese to me."
This is because Chinese is so different from most languages, including most probably languages spoken by you, whoever you are. After all, it does sound different, and it looks different. This doesn't mean you shouldn't or can't learn Chinese. However, there are a few things you should know before you start, so you can avoid any bad surprises. So today, let's take a look at the 5 things you should know before learning Chinese. Number 1. 第一, Chinese is a tonal language. This means going up and down or keeping the same pitch will drastically change the meaning of the words you are saying. Don't believe me? Look at these words. Consider the difference between 书, book, and 树, tree, or 爸爸, dad, and 爸爸. You get what I'm trying to say. Properly learning Chinese requires a solid understanding of tones, as well as how to correctly use them. This also means you should avoid the use of tones or intonations from your own language, which can easily interfere with the accuracy of your Chinese tones. At this point, it's a given for most Chinese people that non-native speakers will completely mispronounce tones, which is why a simple but well-pronounced 你好 will usually result in you getting showered with praise for your pronunciation. That's how low the bar is.
你好。没想到你中文说得这么好。
Another proof of this is how most Chinese people enjoy saying or writing the word for foreigner, 外国人, as 外国人, purposefully changing the tones of these characters to make them sound more like how a foreigner would say them. So make sure to practice tones as much as possible and do so by imitating native speakers, whether it be your teacher, lines in a movie, or just the recordings in the CDs that come with your textbooks. All of these will help you achieve native-like pronunciation, which is so crucial to being understood in China. Number 2, 第二, every learner should start by learning Pinyin. What is Pinyin? It is a romanization system for Chinese to know how to read characters, essentially turning this into that. Because of the wealth of characters and the incredibly annoying nature of learning them, there are thousands of them, you can't tell their pronunciation from looking at them, many of them look very similar, many have more than one way to be read. Knowing Pinyin will allow you to type Chinese on a keyboard. Look up words in a dictionary to figure out how to read them, or how to write them. Add another way to remember the proper pronunciation of characters by visually remembering their phonetic and tonal components. I cannot emphasize the third one enough. People learn differently. Some people will hear a word once and remember it forever. I personally am not that smart. I need to hear it, I need to see it, both the characters and the pinyin, and most importantly, I need to use it. And I'm willing to bet that most of you are the same. Number 3, 第三. While you will have to start with Pinyin, you will eventually have to learn Chinese characters as well. There's no way around this one. If you cannot read Chinese, you will be severely limited in your learning potential and opportunities. Not being able to read movie subtitles when you didn't hear a word properly, not being able to read articles your friends send you, or even being able to write down your name and information on a form at a hospital, police station, or at the bank will make your life a nightmare. Chinese characters can also help you distinguish between different words with the same sound. Consider the following characters. All these characters are read the same way, yuan, but they all mean something completely different. Only by being able to distinguish them will you be able to know which one is being used. Everyone who learns Chinese without learning characters eventually hits a wall and then has to go all the way back to square one and learn even the most basic characters. Don't be like these people and start the right way. Learn Chinese characters as soon as you have mastered Pinyin. Number 4, 第四, dialects. Hundreds of dialects. There's a well-known saying in China that goes like this: 十里不同音, 百里不同俗. This essentially means walk 10 miles and you'll hear new sounds. Walk 100 miles and you'll see new customs. China is a rich melting pot of regional cultures that can be very different from one another. These cultures include regional languages that can vary a lot. In some cases, 2 nearby towns will speak completely different local languages. Listen to how this idiom of 4 characters is pronounced in Mandarin and then in different dialects.
入乡随俗，
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 鱼香随俗，
色香随俗，杂些人有。
入鄉隨俗。
Your first trip to China will probably take you to Beijing, where pretty much everyone speaks one form or another of standard Mandarin. However, take a trip to southern China and you'll start hearing all kinds of sounds your Chinese teacher never taught you. This is especially true of regions like Guangdong and Fujian, where local dialects are so different from Mandarin that they might as well be their own languages. Even in regions where dialects are part of the same linguistic subcategory as Mandarin, you might have a very hard time understanding locals when listening to them speak to each other. However, don't worry. Decades of Mandarin education have ensured that nearly everyone in China is able to converse in Mandarin. So even in the most rural of areas, you should be understood and with proper ear training, should be able to understand them as well. Number 5. 第五, singing songs won't help you much. Sorry, fellow music enthusiasts, but unfortunately, learning Chinese songs will only take you halfway through the journey to properly learning words. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn anything from singing songs. In fact, you'll sometimes learn some useful, common, and often simple vocabulary and sentence structures. However, learning these through songs will only give you half the information you need because if you remember number 1, tones, then you'll know that every sound in Chinese has a tone attached to it. However, when singing songs, the melody of the song takes over the tones, leaving you with toneless syllables. So if you like learning songs to learn a language, by all means do it, but remember to do the extra work of learning the tones of each characters as well. Consider learning to sing a song as well as being able to read the lyrics out loud, almost like a poem. This will ensure that you learn words properly and are able to use them outside of a musical context. Well, that's it for now. 5 things you should and now know before learning Chinese. Does this mean you should all give up and switch to another language? No, of course not. Every language has its own difficulties. This is all about getting you ready before you face them. So open those books, learn those words, practice those tones, and remember, never give up. See you next time.